6:30 on October 14th, 2024. We'll go ahead and open the regular meeting of the McGregor City Council. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Do we have any public comments? No. All right. Nobody signed up to speak under public comments. So we'll start with agenda item number 1, the consent agenda. Item A is consider approving minutes of council meeting held on August 14th and 15th, September 9th and 23rd, 2024. Those minutes were included in your package that we received this weekend. I will entertain a motion.
August 14th and 15th and September 9th and 23rd council meetings.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on any of the minutes that we received? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. That motion carries. Item number 2. Kevin, I would like you to speak on this one just a little bit.
Well, when I came here, you have an MPO, that's called the Metropolitan Planning Organization. Lots of counties and cities have them. That's the people who divide up the money the state sends, I guess, for transportation, and the Fed sends for transportation. Your member on that board was Frank Leos. And I think when I came here, Mike Olson was on the tech committee. I took his place on the tech committee. And then Frank was on that board for a long time. When Frank left the council, I took his place on that committee. And I believe Chad was the tech committee guy for a while. Were you on the tech committee too? Yeah, then you took his place on the tech committee. And then Brian took my place. And Brian goes to a meeting the other day, and they called somebody's name, and it was Frank's. And they gave us an award. They said they called you. I don't know, and I don't care. I asked Jim if he wanted to give it to you here, and he agreed. And I got to tell you, in my mind, Frank Leos is more than an icon in this community. I'm just tickled to death to have served with him at all, and I'm tickled he's here to get this thing tonight. We didn't give it to him, the MPO did, but we get to give it to him. There you go.
Thank you. Frank, I'll come to you.
She's got you. Golly, that's a lot of people taking your picture, Frank. The MPO even sent folks. First time I've ever known you not to say something.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on to agenda item 3, discussion and possible action regarding the contract award for the construction of the Priority 1 Street Improvements Project.
He's not here yet?
And he's still not here, so we will go ahead and postpone agenda item number 3 and move on
He
to
just
4.
walked in the door. He just walked in the door.
Hey, all right, we've been waiting on you.
You don't even get a chance to breathe.
That's okay.
I'm gonna just walk up the third.
Go ahead, Mike. Awesome. Good. Thanks for coming, Jacob.
Absolutely. Well, good evening, and I apologize for my tardiness. Had a little bit of a family deal, so. Okay. Well, again, yes. Good evening, Mayor, council members. On October 8th, we opened 8 different competitive sealed proposals for the Priority 1 Streets Improvements Project. Again, similar to some of the latest bids that we've done, this was bid as a competitive sealed proposal. So not only was cost a consideration, but also the contractor's qualifications, the listed superintendent's qualifications, and some other items that were listed in the bidding documents. And so after receiving those bids, we evaluated, so 2 representatives from Walker Partners and 2 representatives from the city of McGregor evaluated those proposals. And after averaging those together, the contractor that we felt provided the best value to the city of McGregor was B Corp Utilities. Again, we did a base bid and a substitute alternate. So we are recommending to council tonight to award the base bid with the substitute alternate. All of the proposals except for one, which was not the one that's being recommended tonight, the substitute alternate was the lower of the 2 bids for every contractor except for one. So that's what's before you tonight. You should have in your packets a summary of those evaluations. And so it should list the evaluation that was done by each person, as well as at the bottom overall, kind of gave the average of all the 4 scores put together. And just so you are aware, there is so B Corp was not the lowest bidder. There is a representative from JH Contracting who was the low bidder, that if council is willing, would like to share with council this evening.
Certainly.
Brandon, you want to come up?
Hello, everyone. How are y'all?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. This is my first time doing something like this, so bear with me here. I just want to say my name's Brandon. I work with JH Contracting. Been with him for 5 years. We're a small company, but we are growing. Jordan Holey started this business 7 years ago with 1 tractor, and now we've grown to over 60 plus pieces of equipment that we own. All of our earth moving equipment are intelligent machines, GPS capable. We feel like that we should have a chance at this. We were low bid. We only scored 2 points lower than and I don't even know what place B Corp come in on the price wise, but we were only 2 points lower. Speaking with Jacob on this, which we were actually $350,000 cheaper than them. But we've done some work for y'all in the past. We just did our 1 year walkthrough on the Judith Drive project. We did the lane widening and paved that Judith Drive going up to Knopf. And we actually did a bunch of stuff for Knopf too. We did their parking lot and their whole road, like 3,000 foot of road, construction and paving. I just kind of want to give y'all a little on us. Like I said, we've been in business 7 years. We've grown. We have all our own GPS surveying equipment. We have in-house surveyors. And if we was to get this job, we have quality control guys that run quality control on a daily basis. For this project, we will be self-performing everything on this project except for the paving, which would be Lone Star Paving, which did Judith Drive. And our 1 year walkthrough on that was really good. We didn't have any problems with it. JH Contracting has a decent reputation with Walker Partners. We've got several projects going on with them right now. Every project that we've done has been finished on time and on budget, and actually time to spare on some of them. If y'all need more references or something, I can get more references from general contractors, other engineers, and I could even get a recommendation letter from our bonding company.
Where are you from?
We're out of China Spring. I'm sorry. I'm nervous. So. Yeah, we're out of the China Spring area. We stay within a 60-mile radius of Waco. We serve this. And I've done a lot of work in McGregor, without JH Contracting too, I've worked for some other contractors and done some work in the McGregor area as well.
All right. Jacob, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I was under the impression that one of the companies did not add in the substitute alternate A.
So maybe you're thinking of the addendums. So JH Contracting they did not acknowledge the addendums as part of their bid. But there are a couple of things to consider on that point. So first, when we bid out the project, we use a website called Civcast. And Civcast actually records whenever whoever, it might be a contractor, a supplier, whoever it is, downloads those addendums. So we have a digital record of JH Contracting downloading the addendums. And then the other thing is that as part of the addendums, we revised the proposal form. And the proposal form that JH Contracting used as part of their proposal conformed to those addendum. So although they weren't acknowledged as part of the proposal package, we felt like they were aware of the addendums. Again, the proposal form conforms to the addendums. There are caveats within the bidding documents that basically give the city the right to basically claim that the proposal was incomplete and to not accept it as a complete proposal and basically just throw it out. That is the city's right. We met with city staff and kind of talked through basically the things that we just talked about, and we felt like there wasn't really a reason to do that with their bid. Again, their cost, their proposal was not out of the ordinary. I mean, it's pretty much in line. Yes, it's the low bid, but it's not significantly lower than all of the other bids that we received. It's not out of line with our engineering opinion of probable cost. So we felt like there wasn't a reason to throw their proposal out because of that. And we did request that JH provide a letter, which they have, stating that they do actually acknowledge the addendum. Now, this was, again, post-proposal opening, so it's not officially part of their proposal, but we would include that. If council were to decide to go forward with JH, we would include that within the contract documents, stating that they do actually acknowledge the addendum and that they would follow anything that was listed within those. There were 2 addendum as part of the bidding process.
All right.
Has McGregor done any work with B Corp?
Yes, ma'am. They actually did the 16-inch water line that was installed for Knopf. So they've done the utility work. As part of their proposal, the majority of their work would be utility work. They would similar to JH, they would subcontract out the paving.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions? All right.
Question for me?
One more. As far as those addendums, is that why they got a lower score, or?
I would say no. Well, I'll speak for myself because I was one of the evaluators. I took it into consideration, but not significantly. I felt like, again, although it wasn't acknowledged, everything within their bid, again, conformed to the addendums, mainly the proposal form. And again, talking with the contractor after the proposals were opened, that they felt strongly like that it was, and part of it was they decided to move forward and submitting their proposal using a different proposal form than what we provided. And so as part of that, the addendum acknowledgement section is on that proposal form that we include in the bidding documents. And talking with the contractor, he had printed that page out and signed it, but since he had left everything else blank, he just kind of overlooked it and then didn't end up including that within the proposal.
I found it in my trash can when I got back to the office.
So, but again, just speaking for myself, I took it into consideration a little bit, but not significantly.
And I mean, I think Jacob could vouch for what JH Contracting's doing for Walker Partners right now. I mean, we just finished up a project and we have, I guess 2 going on right now with them. And we're wrapping one up, fairly big jobs and, fairly complicated jobs on one, which I guess, Walker Partners on the complicated one is kind of an engineer on the side of it. We're working for somebody else, but I mean, we have the capability to handle something like this, and I feel like we.
I know it sounds weird because you're here
Yes,
too.
yes,
so-
ma'am.
But I have to ask the question, so in working with JH2, have we ever had any issues, the city?
As far as with the city of McGregor, I honestly don't know that have y'all besides the paving
Besides
project,
Judith Drive.
yeah, which we did not have any issues with that. I mean, in general, other than just typical, I mean, nothing out of the ordinary that we deal with on a regular basis with all the other contractors.
But there's not anything significant as to, except for just being a lower bid.
Correct.
I just felt like it was something to come kind of present ourselves and then what we do and, you know, being as we are low bid, and we understand that this was a competitive sealed. I mean, it happened to us recently. We were 2 points low and we were low bid too, and I understand it. I felt like it was on me to come and kind of give y'all an idea of what we do and who we are and what we can do. And if given the opportunity, y'all see that and hopefully can do some more work with y'all.
And we thank you for coming out.
Yes, sir.
One thing that I would like to point out to council is the competitive bids or the sealed proposals. It was something that we kind of started, I guess, about 7 years ago. And it was because of a bad experience that Bluebonnet had with a low bid contractor. So we felt that this was only the fairest way to get things done. And if you look at the scoring tabulation sheet in front of you, you see all the different areas that are being factored in. And what we were just told is absolutely correct. JH Contracting was only 2 points behind B Corp Utilities as far as their tabulation. So at this time, I would go ahead and entertain a bid from the council if you are satisfied with your questioning. And if you go back to your first page, there was a recommendation from Walker Partners to go with that highest ranking corporation.
All the questions I just sort of referenced at first, I'm just saying, for us, then really and truly, then the only difference is just that one bid was lower than that. Basically, that's kind of what you're saying. That's what I'm, because if it wasn't that significant enough to the point of us not even considering, from all the language I'm hearing you speaking of is more or less like in reference to the bid and everything, then it's basically just that their bid was lower.
Yes, sir. Their bid was lower, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of, again, there were 4 different evaluations that were made, and so based on all the different factors, you know, the cost being one of them, when all those evaluations were averaged together, it was B Corp that had the higher score out of all the proposals. So that's where the recommendation is coming from. But again, I guess your charge is if 2 points isn't, you know, if 2 points isn't worth the difference in cost, then, I mean,
And what I've been seeing on some of this stuff in these competitive sealed bids is we're scoring right there with all the guys that've been in business longer. And that's one thing. As a business, JH Contracting has only been in business 7 years. I have 25 years experience in this business. My boss has about 15. So I mean, we have the experience, just the business is not where everybody else is in years. But the experience that we have with the guys that work for us, I mean, we have, 50 plus years of experience in our personnel. It's just the business. We've been seeing that in these competitive bids. The business itself is newer, but our personnel is not.
So kind of what he's speaking to is one of them is the qualifications of the company, or want to call it the qualifications of the contractor as a whole. And so as part of their statement of qualifications, they'll list, hey, here's the number of years the business has been in business. Here's the number of here's the number of projects that the contractor as a business has completed. And so, to his point, you look at, say, H&B Contractors. Well, H&B Contractors has been in business for 40 years. They've done hundreds, if not thousands, of projects. And so on paper, they get scored a little bit higher because as a company, they have a lot more experience. But from their standpoint, yes, the business is only 7 years old, but as he stated, there are people within the company that haven't just been in the business for 7 years.
All right, well, I guess that's basically go back to what Jacob was saying. Is that 2 points worth the extra amount of money for you?
Maybe we could put that towards another project. Well, I mean, there might be something y'all want to add to this contract, and that money like that could be put towards something like that.
All right, so,
Yeah, I've been on this council a while, and, it's understandable, it's not always that we take the lowest bid, but me sitting there now hearing it, I'm not seeing where it's complete, normally offset for us from one company to the other.
Sure.
And especially with both of you standing there and you more or less just kind of speaking, not anything negative to a point about that company. So even with that, it's looking at too, you making certain points about, so do it even consider for about the people, the amount of people that actually work for that company, have been in that company. Is that part of it too?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so again, one of the evaluation items is the qualifications of the superintendent. And so, to his point, they list a superintendent, being him, that's got 25 years of experience. Well, it's the same for, say, H&B. Again, a company that's been in business for a lot longer, but their superintendent, again, I believe the superintendent that they listed had 25 years of experience. So
Yeah, I think
to that end, they kind of get the same score. We need to follow up with references and stuff to make sure that, that 25 years of experience is applicable. We don't want somebody with 25 years of experience doing, vertical buildings, trying to do utilities and streets. We need somebody that's got 25 years of experience in utilities and streets.
any further questions?
I don't want to get into the details of how this is scored, but I'm seeing contractors scored with the same number. And I don't agree with how that was done. I think I can understand why it might have been done, but it doesn't yield a true 1 through 8 when you're at the end of the day.
Sure.
And in my past experience with doing reviewing proposals, the cost, we weren't allowed to see the cost. When the technical people weren't allowed to see the cost until it was already decided who we thought was the best value. And then you had cost people look at that on the side. You brought the two together and made the decision, and you had to, you know, explain why you decided that they were the best value if they weren't the low bid. And, you know, I would just hope that in the future, maybe we look at how we score these a little differently. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the way they were scored.
Sure.
You know, I'm sure they were fairly evaluated based on the criteria. And I'm certain that this is a fair accounting of what the people that reviewed the proposals saw, because I don't have the proposals in front of me, nor do I need to see the proposals. But I just thought that was a little different
Sure.
than what I would than what I was accustomed to when I was working for the government. So, okay. But with that said, I would be willing to make a motion that we accept the results and Walker Partners' recommendation for the award of the project of B Corp Utilities for the base proposal and substitute alternate A in the amount of $3,596,933.27.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. And motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
All right, item number 4, discussion possible action regarding approval of ordinance O-13-2024, an ordinance of the City of McGregor, Texas, changing zoning classification for a certain property located within the city limits of the City of McGregor.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This is one that we needed to visit last month, but we had a little slight oversight on it. This was a zoning recommendation change recommended by Planning and Zoning 2 months ago. This is Highway 84 here, and this is North 3rd Street. It runs this direction. Currently, the area that is in the purple is classified as general commercial. So the recommendation is to change that zoning to neighborhood commercial. Right now, it's not very friendly to residential. Changing it to neighborhood commercial makes it more friendly to residential to build or rebuild. It also reduces the ability for more commercial, general commercial type things to go in there. It's kind of a middle ground. This zoning here is strictly residential. This zoning here is strictly commercial, so this is like a buffer middle ground. Does allow for some commercial use, something like a law office or a financial advisor could use a home as an office front. People could come and go there, but also there could be homes. But it doesn't allow for such a heavy use like you see with this repair facility or restaurants. So the recommendation is to change this to neighborhood commercial. We did get quite a few phone calls on that. When the initial notices went out, primarily is it going to impact their taxes? And as long as their use is not changing, it shouldn't change their taxes. But it does allow, again, more friendly, lighter commercial use, more friendly to residential, and reduce the possibility of heavy commercial being right next to neighborhood.
All right.
Any negative comments or just general?
There were a few folks that I don't think they quite understood how it was benefiting them. To be honest with you, as a homeowner, it's change. So some people don't like change or don't understand change. But right now, if somebody was to lose their home in that, by code, they couldn't rebuild. Changing it to neighborhood commercial lets them at least be able to rebuild, but also allows for new construction of homes in that area. And the existing homes, as I stated, they could be turned into lighter businesses, but they wouldn't be the type of businesses that would require a parking lot per se.
So this change is actually gonna be a benefit to them?
I believe it is, yes, ma'am.
Can I ask, just from the audience, what are the benefits?
It is, so the benefit is right now if, let's say for example, one of these commercial businesses was to vacate and a new business came in, right now they could come in and theoretically, if there was an opportunity, buy up a lot to their south, and then you would have a residential neighborhood that's right next to a heavier commercial use, general commercial use that would be off the highway. Creating this as a neighborhood commercial zone creates a buffer really between this heavier commercial that we see on the highway and where primarily homes exist. So there will be homes in here, but it's kind of a mixed.
So that would be a benefit to the commercial business.
Well, I see it more of as a benefit to the residential because you don't have a gas station or a restaurant or something directly next to these homes. So the likelihood of that happening gets reduced. This was originally zoned general commercial when the zoning was implemented with the thought process that a lot of these businesses would reach further south. But as we're seeing the growth in McGregor, that doesn't seem to be the case. So changing this to a neighborhood commercial where this would remain general commercial doesn't seem to be affecting these folks, and it'd be more of a benefit to everybody that lives on this side of it.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any other questions?
What would neighborhood commercial do for new businesses coming in there? Would you be allowing that, or would you not be allowing that?
It depends on the type of business that they want to operate. So there'd be limitations based on the zoning as to what could go in there. But like a restaurant or a convenience store, something like that wouldn't be allowed in the neighborhood commercial, where right now somebody was to acquire the land, they could go in there and do that type of thing.
Because it requires a
So,
parking lot.
Mhm. Yeah, there's different zoning, different standards. Yes, sir.
so maybe, let me ask them, what type of business we're looking that could go in that area?
I think like a therapist. I'm just spitballing based
Yeah,
off
no,
of
no,
our
I
ordinances,
understand,
but
just to give everybody-
therapist, somebody like a Edward Jones, financial advisor, something that more of a, not like necessarily a home office, but could be operated out of a home as an office. I don't know if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Right, lower traffic, because they could pull up in front of the house, or in the driveway, and they're there for 30 minutes or an hour, and then they're gone. There's not 15 parking spaces required.
Are there hours within that?
No, we don't have any.
It's like is it 26th Street, 26th Avenue, Waco? They kind of have that where the historic homes, but that are businesses. Small
Yeah, you see that a lot.
All right. Well, if council doesn't have any more questions, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion we approve ordinance 0-13-2024.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance O-13-2024. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. That motion carries. Agenda item 5, discussion and possible action regarding appointment of a member to the Historic Commission to fill a vacancy. Turn the lights off. Okay, as council knows, Terry Sloan is going off of that and creating the vacancy.
I think it's always been
And attached, we do have somebody that has shown some interest.
Hello.
And I was speaking of Miss Kathy Anderson. Is Kathy here? No? Okay.
Hello. My name is Richard Morgan. I'm a local architect here in Waco. I've been a McGregor resident for the past 12 years. Kids moved out, got free time now, trying to get back to the community. looking for things to do. So right now, I'm on the Foster Village board right now. I'm trying to expand and get more involved with the community here in McGregor. One of the things that would interest me would be helping out the community, would be something like the architectural committee, zoning board, something like that. So I heard there's a vacancy on the historical committee, and like I said, being an architect, using my expertise in that, I think I could contribute, for that committee, preserving some of the buildings here in town.
What was your name again?
Richard Morgan.
His email was actually attached to the TERS number 1 and TERS number 2 boards.
And you said you have a background in architecture?
Yes, I'm an architect, licensed architect. I worked for RBDR Architects in Waco for about 14 years. Since they're left there, I've been with a construction company now for the past 4 years, where I also practice architecture there. So I've been a licensed architect for the past 5 years, but I've been doing architecture for the past 20 years.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
All right, thank you.
Was Kathy Anderson here?
No.
No. No, that was the first thing I asked.
Can we go ahead and approve her though?
Well, I have a question, because, is he asking to be on?
Who's asking for any,
Any.
since Kathy specifically said historic committee, that's the reason I'm putting it like that.
Yeah.
So, I have one more question, Mayor, is that okay?
Absolutely.
Mr. Morgan,
Hmm?
it says that you are interested in actually quite a few boards. If you could pick one to be your top one and one to be your second, which one would you pick?
Well, historic would be first right now for me. I think it'd be a good introduce, to get into the, onto a board here and getting involved with the community. I think, further down the road, when other seats will come open with some of the other ones where I have more, zoning boards, I know everything about zoning, building codes. That's all I've done my whole life, is study that kind of stuff. So, as the city needs me, I would be happy to, look at moving to, or getting on other boards if possible. But yeah, with my background, like I said, construction, building codes, zoning, I have to know all that stuff with my job, so I know all of it.
Well, to kind of piggyback off of Renee's question,
Mhm.
You did list Economic Development Board on here. So I would ask you, are you familiar with tax increment financing?
No, I'm not on that. When I was looking at the boards, I think of economic development as far as the growth and future of McGregor and being a resident here, taking interest into that and making sure that, being involved with what's doing right for the community would be something I would want to get involved with, as far as like all the ins and outs, tax stuff like that. Not an expert on any of that kind of stuff, but I do know when, want to make sure that the community's headed in the right direction, and would like to always have a voice in that kind of stuff.
Because we have an opening on that board too.
Oh.
We could,
Okay, well, much like what
I'd like to know if anybody on the council that knows Kathy, because I don't know Kathy.
I don't know her either.
Is there anybody that?
Yeah, she's Kathy Wheat, wasn't she?
Yeah, Kathy Lee.
Kathy?
Okay, well, just like when we
Maiden name
were,
was Wheat.
just like when we were filling the members of the planning and zoning, we had 3 people interested, and 2 of those people showed up and ended up on the board.
Right.
Well, Mr. Morgan showed up.
Mayor, you would ask,
Oh,
we could use them all, hold on.
Okay, so do we put him on this one?
I think so.
Okay. I make a motion, we put Richard Morgan, his name, on the historical commission board.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to appoint Richard Morgan to our Historic Commission Board. Is there any further discussion? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Andrew.
Yeah, well, need to make clear one thing, it's not that's a good thing that you showed up, but that's not automatically because you showed up that you would be on the board, because we have put people on the board before for whatever reason that they didn't show up. We appreciate the fact that you coming in, that definitely showed that you're interested.
Sure.
But you more or less was put down where you wanted, didn't mind being on any of the boards, so,
Yeah.
you know, to me, that doesn't mean that Ms. Kathy Allison is not worthy of being on the board just because she didn't show up. There'd be many reasons why. And that's not just automatically because they don't show up, that they are on board, because we have put people on the board that, you know, in the past that didn't show up. And that's why I asked the question, was anybody aware of, know who she were or spoke of. So, you know, it's not just necessarily that. We appreciate the fact that you were willing to serve on any of the boards, so.
All right, any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? That motion carries. Which leaves our agenda items 6 and 7 open, since we do not have candidates for those two. So we'll skip to number 8. Discussion and possible action regarding resolution R-11-2024. A resolution approving the agreement dated October 14, 2024 between the state of Texas and the city of McGregor for the maintenance, control, supervision, and regulation of certain state highways and/or portions of state highways in the agreement in the city of McGregor, and providing for the execution of said agreement and declaring an emergency.
All right, we have to do one of these every so often. I think the last one was done in 2020. No, that's not right. When was the last one done? It has to be done because of the census in 2020. But anyway, it essentially, Chad, I believe you talked to Clayton about it, essentially is the same thing, but they've had to change some of the terminology and a few other things like that.
They just provided some clarity. The agreement's really not changing. They just provided clarity on some of the responsibilities that they have versus what we have.
And that's having to do with 317 and 84 both, I believe.
Correct.
Each state highway that goes through town. And comes to town and stops like 7th. I'm sorry, it's not 7th. So.
East
Ranch
7th.
Ranch Road. Caulfield
Caulfield
Road,
Road.
yeah. So that's what it has to do with, and it's essentially the same as we've done. And they do good things for us. We have a very good relationship with the Tech Dot. I recommend we approve it.
Make a motion.
Go right ahead.
I make a motion, we approve resolution R-11-2024.
There's a motion and a second to approve resolution R-11-2024. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. That motion carries. Item number 9, discussion and possible action regarding approval of resolution R-13-2024, resolution of the city of McGregor, Texas, expressing official intent to reimburse costs of projects.
Mayor and council, this is a resolution that if we go out for additional funding for the TERS, that we can get reimbursed for whatever we spend until the money comes in.
It's for both TERS 1 and 2, correct?
Yes, that's what Jeff is telling me, that this will suffice for both.
You will have projects you're going to consider in the near future for one for sure, but probably both of those TERS.
This is typical of when you do a CO, that you have this in place so that you'll have your consultant costs and engineering costs before you ever have any project costs. And this will allow, when the funding comes in, to reimburse general fund for the costs that we incurred.
All right.
I make a motion that we approve resolution R-13-2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution R-13-2024. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. That motion carries. Item 10, discussion and possible action regarding the contract award for the Amsler Park Pool.
Mayor, council, we were informed this last year that we would not be able to reopen the pool if we didn't have some repairs being made, that they would no longer pass inspection. So we did do a formal bid, and we received 2 responses. One was from Aqua Breeze out of Dallas in the amount of $81,636, and the other one was from Commercial Swim out of Hutto, and their bid was $204,998.
Those are big difference.
Big
Cassie, could
difference.
you tell us kind of what the repairs are?
Absolutely. Jose is the inspector for the county, and he came out to take a look at the pool. And every year we paint the bottom of the pool, we redo the lines and everything because the plaster is original. And if you know how old our pool is, then you know what original means. And parts of the plaster are now coming off. So it's not safe anymore, and it gets really slippery, and the water doesn't stay the way that it's supposed to. We do refill it quite a bit because that plaster layer tends to keep the water in the pool, and now the concrete is absorbing it.
Okay. Was this included in our budget
Yes.
for this year?
Yes.
So which one you want, Aqua Breeze or Commercial Swim?
The Aqua Breeze.
They actually made it.
Oh, there it is, I see it there. Okay.
Just as a reference, when we did contact a couple of companies when we were looking at what it would cost, when we were looking at budget purposes. Aqua Breeze was one of the companies who had looked at it in the beginning, and then when we opened the bids, they submitted a bid for this. 2 of the other companies that we spoke to in the beginning did not opt to submit bids, but all of their prices were much closer to Aqua Breeze than they were to the Commercial Swim.
Okay. Yeah, Mayor, I don't believe you were in with the discussion. I think we had this discussion about a year ago about we were gonna have to do this. We knew this was coming. And
Okay.
in order to keep the pool operational, this is required.
All right, that's actually why I asked if it was in the budget.
Yeah.
We have to make a motion.
Yes.
I make a motion, we approve the Aqua Breeze Incorporation bid of $81,636 for Amsler Park pool repairs.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to award bid to Aqua Breeze Incorporated. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. That motion carries. Now, discussion and possible action regarding approval to authorize city manager to sign a budget adjustment to reallocate funds from the city council contingency line to the general fund non-departmental budget for payment to the Waco Industrial Fund for reimbursement of the construction costs of the industrial gas line.
This wasn't how I preferred to reallocate the contingency. You will see some more on that. We're just not gonna have as much fun as I thought. This is one of those things that came to me in the middle of the night, and I recalled not seeing it in the budget. And so I got to the home, that's a scary thought. I got to the office the next day, and I asked Carolyn to come see me. And I said, hey, Carol, where's our payment to the Waco Industrial Foundation for the gas line? And she kind of looked at me funny, and I said, yeah, well, go find out how much it was, because we missed it, I think. And she acknowledged that. So it's almost $300,000, but we owe it. Now, that money will eventually come from increased gas franchise fees that we get for the industry that's coming on, but of course, we're not there yet. So it's gotta come from somewhere. I think we're gonna try to figure out a way in years to come to reimburse that contingency fund out of the franchise fee as it goes forward. But we're stuck with this, and it's my mistake, and so I'm just laying it out there for you. We need to fix it, because they came to us. It's an interest-free loan, and it's due. And we couldn't have got it done without them. They actually stepped up, and we want to be a part of keeping that fund healthy. It's a revolving loan fund for this type of thing, and there's no telling when we'll need it again out there in that industrial park. So we certainly want to establish good credit with these folks.
All right. Any questions about this? All right, I would entertain a motion to authorize the city manager to sign a budget adjustment to reallocate funds from city council contingency line to the general fund non-departmental budget for payment to the Waco Industrial Fund for reimbursement of the construction costs of the industrial gas line. Say something.
I make a motion as so moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Who seconded it, I'm
That was Bonnie.
Bonnie.
Is there any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. That motion carries. And now Carolyn is gonna dazzle us with the financials.
Mayor, council, August represents almost 92% of our fiscal year, and our general fund revenues are, this is budgeted versus actual, sits at 84.5%, and expenses at 83.3%. Our utility fund is a little over budget at 100.8 and 84.3 in expenditures. The exchange is at 63% and 134.6%. And the airport is at 119.9 and 257.5 or 81.8%. Okay, our general fund expenditures. Our net cash flow is $1 million lower than the previous year. Revenue is down nearly $500,000, and expenditures are up $558,000 as compared to last August. The revenue decrease is due to lower building permit fees of $490,000. Expenditure increases are primarily due to an increase in personnel charges, rather. And remember, that includes not only salaries, but also all the benefits, healthcare, et cetera. Supplies are up $104,000, and other charges $144.2, and then they're slightly offset by a decrease in contracted services and capital outlay. In our utility fund, the net cash is $879,000 higher than the previous year. Revenue is up 1.12, and expenditures are up $238,000. The revenue increase relates to two items: increased water usage, approximately 58.8 million gallons increase, and an adjustment against revenues in the prior year of 207. So it's kind of a false increase, if you will, because the 207 was reported in the previous year and then corrected in the last year. Expenditure increases are primarily due to a budgeted increase in in capital outlay costs, offset by a decrease in debt service costs obligated for utilities. And then the exchange net cash flow is only down $78,500 as compared to the same period last year. Revenues are down $32,000. Expenses are up $45,000. Building maintenance is up, as we've talked about previously, mainly due to the LED light replacement project. Other charges are up $20,000, and the remainder of the increase relates to personnel charges. Our airport, the net cash flows are down $26,600 as compared to the same period last year. Revenues are up $74,500. Expenses are up $101,000. Revenue increases are primarily due to a $50,000 in miscellaneous income, a 14.3 increase in hangar rent, with the remainder of the increase in interest. Expenditures increases include personnel charges of $26,000 and capital outlay of $70,000, with the remainder of the increase in building maintenance. If you'll recall, this year we had a 90-10 grant instead of a 50-50 grant, so we spent more and are getting more back. Then that's just your breakdown of the cash accounts. Keep going. Again. And then you'll see that net cash in bank is 5.5 million less than the same period. You'll see capital projects are down 9 million, so you know where the majority of that came from. And then our sales tax should be next. And we've adjusted, as you'll recall at the last meeting, y'all approved the repayment of from the audit, the comptroller's audit. So we've adjusted, 14's off the chart, so we adjusted 15, 16, and 17, and you'll see how much we adjusted each year. And so now that represents the actual, if you would.
Changed your trend line, but it's still impressive those last 2 years.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm just kind of still stunned.
Yeah, yeah, so that's where we're at right now.
All right, does council have any questions for Carolyn? Thank you, Carolyn.
You're welcome, thank you.
All right, agenda item 13 was supposed to be closed session. We don't have anything to go over in closed session tonight.
Don't need it.
So, item 14, announcements from the city manager.
Yes. The folks from the MPO hung around, and we did not coordinate this, obviously. My apologies, I would have had you come up earlier.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Annette Polk from the Waco Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. This is Nora Roy from our staff and the Waco MPO. And we just wanted to thank you, your city, for your contribution and your service to the MPO, and thank you for your wonderful staff that works with us and helps us every day. So last month, the MPO celebrated our 50th anniversary, and we had a celebration, and we presented awards to some of our MVPs and our favorite people. And Frank Leos was one of the people that we presented an award to, and we wanted to just make sure that you all know how much he means to this organization. And I think Frank and I have worked together for a decade now. So he's one of a kind. So I wanted just to read a quick quote from the director when he presented the award to Frank at our awards. So we presented him with the Waco MPO Veteran Award, and for appreciation for his service for all of the years. And he stated that if we were a historic commission, we would declare Frank a landmark. We don't know anyone who has served with the Waco MPO as long as Frank has. We're grateful, so grateful for his service. And his knowledge in all facets of the MPO has been valuable to the policy board, the technical advisory committee, and most of all to the MPO staff. Thank you, Frank. We're sorry we couldn't see you last month, but thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll just make a point that they've never come here and said anything good about staff when I was the appointee to the staff. So,
who did you say was on there now?
Brian
I'm
Lemillier.
surprised they're doing it now.
Well, he must be worthy, that's all I can say. That's all I have, Council. Oh, there are some good things going on down at the corner. Can't tell you what they are, but I'd have to shoot you, but there's some really neat stuff occurring on both corners down there now, and let's keep it going.
All right, do we have any requests or comments from council?
No, I saw a photo of the new fire truck. It looks awesome.
It is beautiful.
You have a sheet on your desk. You also got an email.
Yep.
I want to really encourage you to go to that. First of all, James is not cooking, so the food's going to be really good. Sorry, James, I'm just messing with you. I've had James' breakfast, and it is very good. And that's a pretty big deal to them, and I think we need to support our volunteers as much as we can. So I'm actually gonna be out of state and would love to be there. I'm real disappointed I'm not gonna make it. That's it. Thank you.
All right, anything else? Hearing nothing, we'll go ahead and adjourn this council meeting at 7:30.